Hey guys, and welcome to another Polymer clay tutorial. Today we are going to create the skin Ravage with dark wings, dark feathers and iron beak from Fortnite. Before we get started, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. If you ever thought about creating your own website, it will be very interesting for you, and I will tell you more about Squarespace at the end of this video. Now let's get started, let's create Ravage. You decided in one of the last polls that I should create this female skin from Fortnite, and it will not only be the longest tutorial but also, I think, yes, one of the most difficult creations which I ever came up with. I'm looking forward to this tutorial. Let's get started with the aluminum wire. This is a bit different than the other skins from Fortnite because you see there is some kind of a tail. We need that to hang the final creation. Let's get started with coating. Black clay to start with the torso, which is black. Most of the skin of the Ravage skin looks black, but when we look even closer, and we will do that in this video, you will see that there are so many different colors in this creation. So these are the hip line probably, and we need another color. Yeah, we just spoke about that, and now we need the next one. This is purple. I think it's even called royal purple. Yeah, and some black. And we are mixing that together into this dark purple color. We go on by coating the legs, and the clay is always so soft after mixing different colors together. It's just a pleasure to work with this clay. You get it in my web shop, you know that, so check it out if you want to get started creating your own skins. It is just clayclaim.com. Why haven't I created more female skins? Well, I would say in Fortnite, when there is a great idea for a new skin, it is most of the times it's the male version, and after a while there is the female version of the same idea of the same skin. As I try to create the skin right away when it is released, or 1 or 2 weeks after the release, I create most of the time the male versions and I am skipping the female ones. Sorry for that, but because I haven't created Raven, it's a great start to create Ravage as well, the female Raven skin. Or is Raven the male Ravage skin? Probably, yeah. We just worked on the butt, on the back side. You won't see it. The front is more important for this skin with many details, but I thought it'd have to be nice on the back side as well. Now working on the breasts as well. I tend to create them too big, so I had to do some corrections, and in the end I thought the body looked fine and looked like the way the skin looks in the game as well. So now we work on the arms of Ravage as well, and while preparing the next steps on the arms, I would want to start with a story. Make yourself comfortable and enjoy the true background story of Ravage. Maybe you make a hot cup of tea. She was the most beautiful girl, named Arethusa, the beautiful daughter of a rich merchant. Sometimes she just played with all the nice shiny gold coins and put them all into the bathtub to take a golden bath. Life was beautiful. While singing in the forest with the birds, she was standing next to an old oak. A dark hand slowly came from behind, then suddenly put a blindfold over her eyes. She was kidnapped by strong arms. Nobody knew who kidnapped her. The parents lost uncountable tears. Only an old weird man from the village saw what happened. And nobody believed him, because he was crazy. He was just called Motley. He was wearing so many colorful garments. And this old man told that all he had seen was a big, black birdman with black feathers on his clothings. But nobody believed him, not even the parents. Let's take a short break, because I already can see all the comments. Dude, stop the stories. But I can tell you I have so much fun writing these crazy ones. But let's talk about the creation for a minute, because this is what I also love and want to show. We are working on the front part of the whole creation, on the belts right now. And there are so many belts and silver details. You have to pay attention to that if you want to build your own Ravage skin. What I struggled the most with were these tiny shutter pieces for the belts. The belt buckles? Is it just called belt buckle? Not sure about that. I think the most difficult part of this creation was to figure out a way to create and include the wire to hang this creation when it's finished. Because it's always there, it's always connected to the creation. Of course, I could have glued a wire to the finished skin, but I'm not sure if that would have worked well. And while creating, I even found out that this long wire, the tail, let's call it the tail wire, was useful. Especially after creating all the details on both sides of the creation, you sometimes face yourself with the problem where to touch the creation and not destroy any of the nice details you have created in hours. And this is where the wire is quite helpful, where you can hold the creation. You will see that later. Just working on the right hand, this will be the hand which is wide open, because the dark feathers are coming out of the hand as well. And the other hand we will create in a minute will be the one which is holding the iron beak. Yes, this one. So we have to close the left hand and adding the silver armor parts for the fingers as well, also for the thumb. This was a bit difficult as well. Yep, also on the thumb, right position, and also on the right hand. And we can add the big belt on the front. You may notice this, it's slightly darker than the other belts. So I threw in some black clay for that. And now you're curious to hear the second part of the story. It has been years and she was still holed in a tiny prison somewhere in the middle of nowhere. She had to sing for the dark man's amusement. As she still had to wear that blindfold, she called him by the name of what she could hear, Feathers. This means she just said, Mr. Feather, sometimes Feathy. She lost hope many years ago to get into freedom, but one day a bird found its way to her chamber. She removed the blindfold and saw that colorful bird. Was she hallucinating, or hasn't she just seen colors in years? The bird was whispering words of wisdom. What she could do with her oil lamp and a string wrapped around the doorknob. By using an old iron nail, she formed into what looked like a bird beak. The years in isolation changed her mind, changed her thoughts. She was still beautiful, but all that anger, all that fear from the years in prison came to the surface. She swore to take revenge. Nobody tried to free her, except for the colorful wise bird. She plucked and pulled all the nice shiny feathers from the wise motley bird to create her skin. She was born again this very moment with her mission to find the dark birdman. She opened the broken door, left the plucked bird behind to ravage the world. I really have some goosebumps right now. Let me know what you think about this epic story. This was great, right? Maybe it was too long. I'm not sure about it. Let's come back to the creation. Let's see, we are creating some more belts. This skin should be called Mrs. Belty. Because there are so many belts, you get it? Yeah. Boy, this tutorial is still so long and I still have to fill in some words for the voiceover. I got some comments which said, dude, how do you do that? You're just talking nonsense, like 20 minutes. Yeah, sometimes it's hard, but like right now you just talk about nothing. But why do you do that at all? Well, I think I really want to share what I'm thinking about while creating, and you get some really good ideas while creating, like this crazy story, for example. And sometimes we have some time to talk about some serious stuff as well, but most of the time we talk about how to slice this piece of clay. I know that other creators on YouTube, especially the Polymer clay creators, are just playing music. I think this is also fine, and if you are really annoyed by my voice, turn it off and listen to your favorite music. But then you may miss some funny stories. For all the colorful feathers, don't mix the clay too strong. We have a bright green, some blue and the purple, of course. And it already looks so fantastic, these feathers. We're adding the details with a scalpel. And I think this just looks great for feathers out of polymer clay. I know there are different techniques to create feathers, but to the whole skin, I thought this way looks the best. We need some more clay, and now we are creating the big wings, the big dark wings. They are called dark wings in Fortnite, right? But they aren't really dark, because on all the images which I found, it looked more like blue. We're including a wire as well, because I think they may be a bit too heavy after oven hardening, and therefore it will be way more stable when we add the wire. Now all the details, all the feathers as well. This is just a pattern, a repetitive pattern, and I'm adding a few details afterwards, and it really looks like as if the whole wing is made out of feathers with much details. While creating the wings, this tutorial reminded me of the Argus Night Stalker tutorial from Mobile Legends I created, and I took a whole different approach. I was drawing the wings, and this also looked quite nice, but this time I wanted to go all clay, and I think in the end it even looks better. But wings are just too thin, and it's also okay to just draw them on paper or cardboard, for example. We are now adding the armor for the legs, and they are quite interesting. I think very similar to the ones which the Raven is wearing as well. By the way, you knew that the guy who was kidnapping the girl on the story was Raven, right? And did you also notice the old man who was the colorful bird as well? The wise bird? Oh, I know, right? Now some silver clay. I took the silver clay, mixed in some black to get a real strong and dark silver for the other armor parts of the leg as well, using the modeling tool. Well, also on the other side as well. And then we need some more silver clay, a very thin layer of it, for all the other parts. Normally I make oven hardening after I finished a certain part of a creation, and I would have loved to put this whole thing into the oven quite early so that I won't destroy any of the details. But as this skin has some kind of a dress made out of feathers and they are over the legs, I had to create the legs first and then create the whole dress. Hope that makes sense to you. When figuring out a way to create a skin like that, you go through all the steps in your mind. Well, I do that before creating. And this is the feather dress right now. You see it. And you have to think about which step is next. And I could have not just attached this skirt, because after oven hardening it would have been just too difficult to create the legs under the dress. We will add these layers, very thin layers, just removing some of the blue. Now to the belt. It should really look like as if the skirt is coming out of the belt. So also on the other side as well. The last working step before oven hardening, we need some more blue feathers. And a little bit of purple is there as well, giving them all the tiny details with a scalpel, and we add it right over the dress. Oh, this already looks so interesting and fantastic. Also on the back side as well, we're adding the feathers to cover up the wire a little bit. The feathers shouldn't stick to the body too much, to make sure to bend them away from the creation, and we are ready to go into the oven. Freshly baked Ravage without head. And this is what we create right now. We start with some black clay. We do some measuring to see where we have to remove the black clay on the neck. And this should look fine. Yo. What about the face of Ravage? You don't see much because she's wearing a mask. And I even wanted to include that into the story, that because she was wearing that blindfold over the years, she got very sensitive eyes, and therefore she has to wear these kind of glasses, glowing glasses. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's a lot of black and this big scar on the fabric. We are adding the seams with dark gray and now some bright silver. So this is just the silver out of the box without mixing. Most difficult part of the whole head creation, because you had to get all these holes. There is some more silver on top. And there are even some more belts. Look at that! A surprise! Belty. On the back side of the belts there is a closing mechanism. We attached that one as well. And the last working step after finishing the belts, well, just looking if it fits, yo, looks great, is to work on the eyes. The glowing eyes. I mixed different kinds of purple, a dark, a bright one, and the white. And I placed all the layers after another. And there are 3 big feathers on the head feathers. I didn't mix the clay too strong in order to get the most of luminosity which the clay can bring you. And if you mix it too much with different colors, it just gets dirty and loses all the luminosity. The shoes are pretty simple to create. This is what I missed before oven hardening, so we add them right now. There's just 1 layer on top, and we can place it onto the plate as well. And now the moment has come. We are working on the harvesting tool, which is the iron beak this time. Iron beak. There was also a reference in the story. You remember this nail, iron nail, which looked like a beak? Yeah, I was thinking about this one, this tool, this axe. There's a hole inside this fabric. Maybe it is supposed to be leather, not sure about that. And there are some brown stripes, maybe some more leather stripes as well. So we will add them, 2 at the top and 1 on the bottom of the stuff. Let's add some fold details to the fabric as well. And we are placing it onto the plate to work on the iron beak, on the head of the iron beak. But it really looks like a beak, doesn't it? The top part of the tool. Just adding it. Maybe I should have created this one from dark silver, so I should have thrown in some more black clay as well. And we have these 4 claws we add to the beak after oven hardening. And there is even a scrunchie, looks like that, for all the long feathers coming out of the head of the tool. For the feathers, this is just a simple way to create a color gradient. You've seen a different technique at the beginning of this tutorial for the other feathers which were attached right to the torso. Now we go the easy way for the feathers, this tiny bunch of feathers on the axe. We are rolling it and attaching it. Some more details on the leather wrap and put it into the oven. Freshly baked Ravage head, feet and feathers and some more. The harvesting tool, but we will assemble that later. Now we focus on gluing all the different parts together. The shoes, for example, and the most important part, using the hand drill, that the head fits onto the neck wire. So now we can glue it up. And the 3 head feathers. Which one to take? Ah, this looks nice. So let's glue it right there on the other side as well. Now let's put in the wings into the tiny holes we are drilling with a hand drill. Fill in some glue. I'm using super glue for that because it's fast drying, but be very careful while using this type of glue. And the assembling of the harvesting tools looks difficult, but it isn't. There are 3 thorns on top of the axe as well, and all is missing the feathers. Whoa, looks great. The problem is how to get it into the closed hand. There's only one way. Oh, I could cry. I had to destroy the axe again. And I even created some more black feathers. You haven't seen them, but I think they are just easy to create. And now I was looking forward to that moment, to take some wool, black one and purple, and filling in some purple wool into the harvesting tool. And we are even mixing the black clay with purple to create the dark feathers which are coming while jumping out of the battle bus. And it looks so cool. I've seen it on different skins now, and I just fell in love with this move. Well, it's not a move, it's just an add-on to the skin, these black feathers. Gluing the last feather to the creation, and guys, can't believe it. That's it! Ravage! Before today's video is over, Ravage, dark wings, dark feathers and iron beak. This video, this longest video ever, was made possible by the great people from Squarespace, and I would like to tell you more about that. I wish I had found Squarespace earlier. You can create a beautiful website or even an online store with an award-winning template on this all-in-one platform. And what I love about it, there is nothing to install, patch or upgrade ever. If you want to get started, Squarespace offers a unique domain experience that's fully transparent and simple to set up and already used by many different people, YouTubers, musicians, designers, artists, even restaurants and more. Go to squarespace.com/clayclaim to get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. I guess that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, guys. See you next week. Bye. Fly with me, Ravage. Fly.